Geoff, I mean, is it back where it all started? I suppose one of the questions I have to ask you is at Greensboro, when you were virtually playing for your job on the last few holes, and the thought of you not having, I know you went in there, I think 125th, did you?
That was,
Yeah, and you had to...
Yeah, it was good, I guess.
I mean, that's really pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's slightly different for me saying that situation than say it would be if Curtis was in that situation, because I have a level of status over there that I'm always going to be able to play a reasonable amount of tournaments, but it's an annoying way to play, and as he was describing, when you don't know you're going to get in till Monday or Tuesday, and then you fly in and out, you can't really play properly that way, so it's very important to finish top 125, so yeah, that was I'd played better than I did this year. Like, I just finished a couple of spots worse than I should have I didn't play great, but I played better than I did. So it would have been pretty disappointing to like have to fight through next year looking for invites and stuff. So it was nice to finish that way.
And what about this course? Have you been out there and played? Have you practiced here?
I just played this morning. So first time since we were here a couple of years ago. Yes. It's very similar to what we're playing over there at the moment. Usually it's quite an American style setup with the grass and the green, the fairway grass and the sand and the bunkers and the green grass. It's normally you come back here, we've got to readjust to Australian golf a little bit. This is more similar style to how we play over there. So less quick studying, if that makes sense. You don't have to learn quite as quick, because for the guys who have played in the US, I mean, it's different for everyone. Yeah, it's great. It's in great shape. It's of course, if it gets super windy, it gets really hard. If it's not too windy, well, there's a good score out there. So, and it always seems to find a good champion and host a good tournament. So I think it'll be pretty good.
Can the champion be you this year?
Sure. I have one less shot than everybody else. And there's enough game there for that to happen, and just got to do it. You know, you've got to do it for 72 holes. So, yeah, hopefully.
Questions for Martin?
Geoff, the questions about last year out of the way. Was that your biggest miss ever?
You guys decided that it was an annoying finish. It was a frustrating finish, but I struggled all week. The fact that I had that position with 9 holes to play or whatever was not indicative of how I'd been playing, if that makes sense. I was faking it a little bit.
That week you threw it away?
Well, yeah, of course I threw it away, but I didn't throw it away on purpose. I hit the best shots. My swing was, I completely lost it by Sunday, and I was just trying to find a way to get it done. I think I chipped in 7 maybe, 38, and then I hit like 50 yards left in the ninth fairway with like a 3-iron, and then from then it was just ambulance, like just get in, and I nearly got there. You hit it right on 16, and 4 times out of 5 you're going to have something to get it to a 7-iron or less, which is still not an advantage on a par 5, but you're going to have a birdie putt probably, and either 1 out of 5 between 2 roots completely ruined. So, but I was over it before I got to the 18th fairway. So whether you think that that's not right, I should be pissy and getting in the plane all depressed and like thinking that's the big opportunity. I didn't feel like about that at all. I'm just like, well, I would have got away with that if I'd won that. That would have been a bonus. I walked away thinking, well, I nearly won the Australian Open playing shit. Which but that was the feeling. I'm like, you know, that was a really good effort. How you were playing. Let's see if we can play better next year and score that well. You know what I mean? So I actually took positives out last year, weirdly enough, because from the outside looking in, it probably looked awful.
Going back to what Kathy asked you before, you said after some interview you did after getting your card, getting your card, that you play better under the gun. You always feel more alive, and under the pump, that's when you see the real Geoff Ogilvy.
I guess that's accurate. I mean, I was uncomfortable at Greensboro. Like, it's not a comfortable feeling, that Q-school type pressure. You know, it's different from trying to win a tournament. You're trying to win a tournament. If you mess it up, well, you come third and you make a big check, right? Like, that is job or no job, kind of. As I said, it wasn't as black or white for me, but it pretty much is. And that's a headspace of trying not to mess up as opposed to trying to do great stuff. Like, it's a completely different style of pressure. Like, it's a job interview. You're trying to not say the wrong thing as opposed to try to say the right thing. But saying that, it just obviously makes me pay attention properly, because when I pay attention properly, I play really well. It's uncomfortable and you're nervous, but I seem to play well doing that. So you can't fake that sort of pressure. So the key is, for me, I think, is finding how to get into that headspace without that situation needed. You know, I need to be able to get to that, where I get to at Greensboro in the last 9 holes of tournaments or whatever it is, more often.
How else can you fake it? But obviously, you answered that. You know, is it easy to find that at 40 as it was at 25?
That's part of it too. I think 30 tournaments a year for 20 years, they start blending in a little bit. It's hard to be quite as excited. It's very easy to get excited for me here. This is the National Open. But we have massive tournaments every week over there, and when you do 4, week off 4, week off 3, week off 4, and you do that for 20 years, yeah, it starts becoming hard to really get up for every single week. And that would be normal, I would think, in all sports. So it's finding, I guess, for me, how to shoot good scores when maybe, because once you start shooting good scores, you're into it, right? As soon as you get onto the leaderboard on Thursday, it's like, this is an important tournament again. It's just that. Am I making sense? So it's getting up into the mix more often, and once I get up in the mix, it usually works out. So it's those first 2 days of a tournament rather than the last 2 days.
Nicole, with limited money on offer, what's the solution to that when there's several top Australian players?
Don't know. Money talks. Unfortunately, it's the reality of the modern world, and we play for so much money over there. It's like $1 million just doesn't move the needle for somebody over there anymore, because they win that every week. We have a big tax obligation for a foreigner when they come here. That's tough, but that's always going to be there, and that's always been there. I think if we can just make our tournaments the best in every other way. You know, if we can't do it with the money, because we can't. I mean, our economy is just smaller. It's not realistic to play for $10 million or to have budgets like you need to get those fields. If we play our best courses and we give the players the best time and the spectators have the best time, kind of like the Masters does. They have a lot of money, but they do everything right, like the US Masters. Everything, they tick every box, and everybody who goes in the gate has an amazing time. Yeah, they've got a big budget to do that, but you can do a lot of the stuff they do without a budget. It's just a headspace, and that's what we need to do, I think. Just make them just amazingly good tournaments, and then the money might come later on, you know. But as I said, it's really difficult. I mean, it's a really long way to come from the east coast of the US, which is really where the majority of these guys live, to here. It takes 3 days to get here. It's just not doable. It's just so far. It's Thanksgiving week, which is their most important holiday, the US guys. Europe's got big stuff every week now. It's pretty important. It's just a tough date, and it's a tough economic climate to be able to do it. But I think we do all right. We do better, but we do pretty well.
Just changing the subject, what take do you feel like your own games in
It feels really good. I've been dabbling way too much, probably, but I've really come to terms with my golf swing properly. I understand probably at a level where I probably should have understood the whole time. I kind of get my swing a bit better. Not the swing, my swing. My putting is coming around. My short game's always been decent, so I feel ready to play well more often. So I played really nicely I've only played 2 in the fall in the US, in the autumn. And Vegas and Mexico, and I played quite nicely at both of them. I just didn't score very well, and I was really, really windy, and I came off 2 months off, and they were 30-mile-an-hour crosswinds on every shot, and that's really tough to find form in weather like that. But I played okay and just didn't score very well, so the game feels pretty good.
Geoff, we were talking to Jason yesterday afternoon, and he outlined a whole host of injuries he's had in his just turned 30. 10 years he's seen. Can you offer any advice that might prolong his longevity? We're talking about, you don't soon meet the guys doing pump a lot of weights and do all that sort of thing. So you obviously have a different sort of regime.
We all do what we want to do at the end of the day. I have absolutely no expertise in physical conditioning and biomechanics, any of that part beyond what I've learnt through playing elite golf from all the coaches and the trainers and that, you kind of pick up on a few things. But as a general overview of the sport, the guys who lift a lot seem to be the ones who are hurt a lot. And it's very general, and it's a massive just a general feeling. The guys who push a lot of mass seem to be the ones who get hurt a lot. Now you talk to Jason, and he says he doesn't really lift that heavy, but there's a little bit of beach workout that goes on with a lot of these guys. Like there's a bit of vanity after you get to a certain point. You really like what's happening to your body, and you do hit the ball better, and you do hit the ball further. It becomes a thing for these guys, and I think too much of it seems to be bad. But I don't think Jason's issue is because I think he works out really well. I think his exercise program is pretty good. I think he just hits too many balls too hard, too many drivers and some too hard. But VJ's done that for 50 years and he's never been hurt. So, like, again, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. I think some guys seem to be broken all the time and some guys never get hurt. Like, it's just partly the luck of the draw, I think. But you could probably manage it by hitting less balls and lifting less. But he knows his own body. When the stars line up for Jason, he's the best player in the world, you know. So, and he knows how to get that done. And to get that done, he's kind of risking having to hurt himself a little bit. Well, that's where his head's at. He thinks, well, to get to perfect, I need to maybe be on the edge of getting hurt. But that's what he likes to do. He likes to push it and get it to the edge and really, like, have every aspect of his body and his game working perfectly. And when he gets it, it's a pretty beautiful thing. But when he just misses it, it sucks, right? He doesn't get to play. But that's how he likes to work on golf, I think. He likes the nose done on turn, work really hard, beat everyone through effort, you know. And it's a great thing when it works, but when it doesn't, it backfires. So you wouldn't have the one Jason. You can't have one without the other. The good Jason comes with the Jason that gets hurt a little bit. That's just part of it, you know. So that's the way I see it. If any of that makes sense, I don't think it did.
In your expert opinion, how many of the top players are playing injured?
A lot are playing hurt very regularly. But what is injured and what is hurt? What's the difference between injured and hurt? Like, injured is something that stops you playing, right? So nobody's playing injured because they've stopped. That makes sense. But there's a lot of guys with niggles and pains and hurts and necks and shoulders and hips and backs, obviously. A lot of guys with dodgy hips in their late 30s. You know, hips take a big beating, lower back. Something gives up at some point. VJ's been hurt for years. Tiger was playing hurt 10 years before anybody knew he was. Before he was admitting that he was hurt, he was very hurt. Norman, I think, was always hurt towards the end. McIlroy's always hurt. It's coming, isn't it? I don't know. We're all just trying to hit too far. We're just obsessed with it far.
Geoff, this week, have you got a number in mind, and what do you think is the key to working your way around this golf course?
No number in mind. The number in mind is going to be one shot better than the second guy. I know it sounds stupid, but it could be 2 under. If it gets really windy, it could be 20. It's just, I know, Jordan a few years ago, like I started that, 3 or 4 years ago when he shot that low round on Sunday, I started like 4 back on Sunday, and I thought, well, if I shoot 1 under today from 2 over, if I get back to 1 over or even, I could win this. That's how hard that day was. And he got to like 1500, and I tell you, that round was completely absurd, right? So anyway, picking numbers, I don't do that, but just avoiding the big numbers around here. I think it's relatively simple if you're hitting good shots, but if you can really make a mess of like 7, 8, 9, things like that. Lots of water, some pretty key shots that if you hit them poorly, you're going to rack up a big number, and there's plenty of birdies out here, but there's not that many that you can get away with too many bogeys, doubles. You know? So just it's pretty standard as keep it straightish. The fairways aren't completely compulsory here because the rough is hit and miss, but just play sensibly. Don't take too much stuff on, because there's some really tough shots out here, and bogey sometimes is alright as long as you just doubles not. You know, there's some tough stuff out there.
I'll take you back into bigger picture stuff. Mike Davis overnight, I think, was quoted as talking about bifurcation of the ball in particular. I know you have thoughts on it. I assume that you wouldn't mind the separation of the elite and the club game.
Well, Firstly, I don't think it needs to be separated. I think you could do it all in one. I think you could scientifically work out how to make the ball go shorter for us, but not really affect the guy who hits at 200. But regardless of that, that's neither here nor there. It would be if bifurcation is the way that we get to where we probably need to get, it's the right thing to do, right? Like the Major League Baseball in America, they use wooden bats, and every other level of baseball they use aluminium bats or aluminum bats. And when the major leaguers hit like aluminum bats or aluminium bats, they don't even have to touch it. It just completely destroys their stadiums. I mean, it's just comedy. Like that's kind of what's happened to us with at least the drivers of these big hitters. That we've completely outgrown the stadiums. So what do you rebuild every stadium in the world? That's expensive, or you just make the ball go shorter. It seems relatively simple from that perspective, but implementing that is obviously difficult. You've got to split up the rules between pros and amateurs, and part of the appeal to professional golfers that we play the same game as everyone else. We're all paid by manufacturers to tell everybody that the ball they use is better than everyone else's ball and goes further and all that, and that's true. And it's a complicated thing, but it seems like if the USGA, Tigers said something the other day, Jack's been saying something for years, there's more and more players and more guys on your side of the argument too, more guys in the press are writing it, more people of influence. I think Bridgestone, I heard last couple of days, like the CEO of Bridgestone, the boss of Bridgestone says, yeah, we'd be all in making a shorter ball, let's do it like an actual ball manufacturer. So it seems like it's going to happen. And as I said, just purely so we don't have to change this stadium, like for 100 years we were playing US Opens and Masters effectively on the same court. I mean, the golf had changed a little bit, but maybe Jack hit it 5% further than Bobby Jones or something, I don't know. But now it's 50%. It's just complete nonsense in the last... My career, it's gone from 300 yards was a massive hit to 300 yards as a short hitter onto a net, like legitimately short. So it's changed, and it's changed the way we play the great golf courses, and that's the crime. It isn't really that the ball goes 400, that's really neither here nor there. It's the fact that the ball going 400 doesn't make Augusta work properly. It just functions completely wrong. Like all the bunkers are wrong. I mean, there are guys currently now who are about to turn pro, who are turning pro. There's this kid Cam Champ who could drive it on the first hole of Augusta, fly it on the green without even thinking about it. It's so like it's time for the timeout, right, at that point, because it's... And that's kind of where it's getting to. So, as I said, its implementation is going to be quite interesting, but it seems like the writing's on the wall, and it's going to happen at some point. And probably it's, for all intents and purposes, it's an opportunity for the manufacturers to stand out again. You know, all the balls are great now; they're amazing, but all of a sudden it's like kind of square one in a way. It's like, guys, you can show us how good you are again, because in 10 years' time they'll get half the distance back because they'll work out how to do it, right? But that'll be fun, and there'll be a new reason to buy the new Titleist because it goes better than the other ones. Their version of this new ball is better than the other version of this ball, so there's actually an opportunity there for everyone. So I think it can work, but it's, as I said, it's the implementation is going to be interesting.
So did you sort of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but did you almost choke when you heard Brandon Chamblee say we're in 8,500 yard courses?
Well, I just think that's such a reactive position. I mean, we do actually need 8,500 yard golf courses if we don't make the ball go shorter. That's kind of what we do. You saw the US Open this year, it was comedy. Like, I mean, Koepka didn't hit more than a 7 on the longest course in history. But, that's one solution, is to have 8,500 yard golf courses. But it doesn't seem like as an easiest. It seems like the other solution would be a little bit easier to get done. But again, it's one of the arguments you can make, I guess. It's not the one I would make. But.
Next question.
Geoff, you spoke openly, I think it was at Greensboro, about how much you struggle to be a golf swing and how many things you tried. Was there a low point, and then was there something that just sort of tweaked that fixed it? Was it going back to something old? Was it trying something new? Or did you just stumble upon something else?
It's just a constant work in progress, I guess. My whole headspace and makeup, I want to know the root cause of stuff. Like, the deep root. Because if you fix that, then everything's fixed, right? And I was searching, we all have a tendency in golf, right? a bad tendency that we all fight for our whole lives. The obvious one is like, say, like Norman or Tiger down the pressure with their long stuff. Their tendency is to go right. They tend to manage it, but everybody's got one. I started trying to work out and your tendency is usually your body trying to save the shot, but actually that's what creates the bad shot. If that makes sense? Me trying not to hit it right is actually why it goes further right. So it's you're doomed from the start. Every golfer in history, every golfer's like, don't slice it, don't slice it, don't slice it, and they all like, don't slice it, and what do? They slice it more, because their fix for the slice is actually the reason they're slicing it. So I tried to find the reason and the reason that the average guy does that is because he's scared of slicing it. He's scared of the ball going right. So he's got a fear of the ball going right, which is why he hits the ball to the right. So, and even at a pro level, that's the obvious one, but at a pro level, that's the same. Like, Tiger's stuck with his driver because there's something in there that he's got wires crossed, No matter what he does, he can do 50 million drills at the correct drill. It might be correct drill. As soon as he gets under pressure, it's a driver, it's going over there because his concept is wrong. So I've been constantly trying to find my concept, and I think I did. I understood why my tendency went that way. I know how to fix it. I know how to set up a tendency now that the more I do it, the better I'll hit it, as opposed to the more I do my tendency, the worse I'll hit it. And the best ball strikers, really, the best swings in history weren't perfect swings. They were swings that saved themselves. That at any point in Lee Trevino's swing, the club, any reaction he was going to make was going to be a good one. The more he reacted to it, the better he was going to hit it. Hogan was the same. It was like an anti-snipe, anti-left. It was like, it wasn't a neutral, perfect swing. It was up against the left-hand corridor, if you like. It's never going left. It's just going to drift into the middle of the corridor if you're playing golf in the corridor. Does that make sense? So that's what I've done. So I can't explain it to you guys, my tendency and how I fixed it and what I found, but I found it. And that took a long time. Now, that is a small part of a really deep, nuanced game. That's just the hitting the ball part. But I've scratched that itch now. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now I can think about different stuff. So that's a really nice feeling. But yeah.
Last question. Back, thank you.
Geoff, just quickly back to this one. What impact psychologically does it have when you perform a number ones in the field? You talked about wanting to get off to the start. What does that do for you and the rest of the field in terms of what game you have to bring to win?
Well, I don't really notice the field anymore, really. That for the guys who just play in Australia or play the smaller tours, Jordan and Jason in a field is a big deal. Like it is. They're massive guys. They're big time guy. Jordan's probably the biggest name in golf, really. He should be if he's not. Jason clearly less than 2 years ago he was number one in the world, and clearly the best. But every week I play in the US, I've got 29 of the top 40 in the world, so it's not like they freak me out very much, but it does add to the tournament field quite heavily. And to be honest, to win this tournament, they'll both finish top 5 or 6, you would think. So to win this tournament, you're going to have to beat Jordan, you're going to have to beat Jason, and that's going to be hard to do. So that's the pre-tournament intimidation, if that makes sense. You have to play well. Whereas if they're not here, maybe it's slightly easier to win, but them being here, you're going to have to play really well. Does that make sense?
Is that okay, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Thank you, Geoff.
Okay.